society really wants to make men bad. Men are not bad.
Why?
Because it's this old ancient view that like men can do whatever they want, women can't do anything, and women should never be believed in men. It's this ancient view that doesn't really exist anymore, but we still perpetuate it in our own homes. Like, at what point are we going to say, I value you because you're a good person, and you value me because I'm a good person, so I'm going to listen to you with what you need, and you listen to me what I need. And there will be times when you have to turn on that spontaneity because that's what he needs.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Veil, the podcast where we dive into deep subjects that matter to you most. I am Shekinah, your host for today. As a mother, wife, and entrepreneur, I believe in exploring the conversations that often remain unspoken but are critical to our personal and collective growth. Today's topic is one that touches every aspect of our lives: sex. Yes, I said it. We'll unveil the layers and the dispelling myths that get to the heart of this intimate subject. Joining me today, we have a fantastic expert and amazing women as panelists with voices who bring diverse perspectives and invaluable insights. First, let me introduce our sex and relationship coach, who will be answering most of your pressing questions with empathy and expertise. Galia Ferguson, and panelists of Amazing Women, we have Miriam, Hello, and Natalie. So, let's lift the veil and start this enlightening conversation. Ladies, thank you for joining Beyond the Veil. It is an absolute honor and pleasure to have you guys with us. I'm going to start with the ice-breaking questions. We're going to start with Miriam. Miriam, all right, so what is one piece of advice about sex you wish you had received earlier in life?
There's a lot. But I guess I wish they hadn't made it so scary. And I think that's also a big taboo, especially but on the African side. All your life you told, well, especially growing up, do not have sex, do not have sex, do not have sex. And then because you told you do not have sex, no one is actually talking about it. So when you get to that puberty where you're trying to discover and stuff, it actually gets very scary because you end up, things can happen. And then you just wish that someone had just told you that, no, it's natural, it's part of life, and rather keep it for until you're married. Because you have to keep it until married, but it's not like a conversation that keep it until you're married and it's enjoyable and stuff. So I wish that was one of the things that, it's taught to everybody. Like just, yeah.
Okay.
It's normal.
That it's normal.
It's
the advice
normal.
that sex is normal.
It's normal.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And Natalie, the question I have for you is, if you could dispel one common myth about sex, what would it be and why?
It will be, you fall pregnant once you have sex. It's not true. It's not. I think our society should focus more on teaching young girls about counting their days, teaching them about STDs, teaching them about HIV.
Yeah.
There is more that can come by you having sex. And pregnancy is the last.
It's the last case.
Yeah. So you don't just fall pregnant for that once. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. KG.
Yeah.
The one question I have for you. By the way, are you okay if I call you KG?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. How do you think our societal views on sex have changed over the decade? And what do you hope to see in this future?
All right, so my observation from back in the day, everybody cherished like their waiting for marriage and whatever before they can have sex. Everybody cherished that back in the day, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was wars or we have influence from other cultures or whatnot. Cultures around the world mix. things change. Now we have this thing called casual sex that people are doing all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah, yeah.
which, you know, where we come from, it's still weird, you understand? But I think things have changed in a sense where people used to wait for marriage to have sex. Now nobody's waiting. Now there's this statement that says you need to try it before you
Yeah.
decide on it,
Yeah.
and then stick with what you have tried and you enjoy your decision. Now everybody's casually having sex under that pretext, and then I really think it's just, yeah, it's I feel like it's messed up a lot of things, you know, because there's no more discipline behind sex now. Now everything is game, you know. And what I would wish for tomorrow, definitely it would be, why don't we cherish sex again? Like, why don't we cherish that sacred moment that we used to call intimacy, or people having sex once again? Because I feel like it has really changed societies. It has. I can talk about a lot of things, but one thing I would mention is maybe a lot of kids born out of wedlock, you know, and then you have a lot of kids like growing up messed up because the parents did not decide to stick together, because that other one is still trying it until they can find the one they want. So
Wow.
yeah, that's what I can say.
Galia, you have heard what the ladies have said. What are your views based on your experience as a sex and relationship coach?
Well, all three of those questions are very different, but in terms of touching on each one of them in their own right, I think if we think about society as a whole, it's always going to change. And we're never going to be able to stop societal change. We want societal change, right? Societal change is good when we treat people better, and when we look after people, and when we treat everyone like humans. And I think the problem is not that society is changing, it's that society forgets that people are human. And sex is sacred because if you do sex right, and if you understand what sex actually is, it's not just two bodies having pleasure. It's a connection, and it's a safety, and it's a space where two people can be their truest vulnerable selves. So if you take away from that in not treating another person like a human, or using it in the wrong way, then yeah, that's a negative thing that society should look at and understand. Well, why are we allowing this kind of behavior? So yeah, I'd love to see a society where we treated people more human and really gave that dignity to everyone that they deserve. And to touch on your point, I think that it's so true that like a lot of the time, especially in schools, we're taught this like stay away from sex because babies, and like you're too young to handle a baby, and you can't handle it, and you scare them into abstinence instead of empowering every single person with the knowledge that they need to make informed decisions, because everyone can make their own decisions, and they can make informed decisions rather than uninformed decisions that just hurt them. And yeah, I think that it kind of filters then back to what Miriam was saying, is that like we can have, I guess it actually all really does relate then, but we can have a better society if we actually just listen to what people are saying, and give people a space to ask the questions and not feel lost, and to have that guidance, and that sex is not just only in marriage we have that guidance, but we have that guidance always, and we feel good about that knowledge.
Awesome. You know, it reminds me, you also have a book that helps parents educate their children based on sexuality. This is something that's going to be shared as well. We're going to share your website, and I believe that's how people are able to get a hold of that book.
It's a PDF, yeah.
It's a PDF book. Okay. So yeah, you guys will be sharing the link, or we'll also be putting the website below, so that you're able to get a hold of this book. It's an amazing book, and Galia is a woman that is filled with a lot of insight with regards to this topic, and this is also one of the reasons why we have you today.
Thank you.
We're actually extremely excited.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was having a discussion with a friend, and this is a question that she gave me. She's like, a woman that has never had sex, does not watch porn, does not masturbate, and is about to get married, and they want to know, is it possible for a woman to enjoy her first intimate moment with her spouse?
So yes, because education doesn't come from pornography. Education does not come from movies. Education comes from reliable sources. And movies are literally shot to give you an experience that they want to produce for you, not the truth. It's not shot to show you the reality. Even reality TV show is fake. Like there's no such thing as like anything being produced that's real quality stuff. And that's why podcasts and people actually giving over information has done so well in society, because people crave information. We're all looking for it. And the problem is that we don't give the information and then they go looking for it from unreliable sources like pornography. And then they think that they're not going to be able to make it in marriage, which is ridiculous. That's not where you should be getting your information from. So, of course, absolutely. If she has the right information, listen, the first time is never going to be this romantic scene that we see in the movie anyway, because firstly that's not real, but also because like you have to get to know another person the same way when you meet someone for the first time. You have to talk to them and understand who they are, get to know who they are. The same way in the bedroom you have to get to know another person's body, and no two bodies are the same. So when they talk about those like people who are like amazing in bed, what, they're amazing in bed with that person, but then you put them with someone else, they have to learn that person too. There's no such thing as one, there is one God, but not that kind of God.
So which brings me to the next question. What are the effective ways to communicate your sexual needs and desires with your partner?
Brilliant question. Well, the first thing is to educate yourself well. Yeah. So don't take what movies and everything else shows us, but rather actually go and find reliable information and educate yourself. Educate yourself on your body. I bought this to show everyone. It's a 3D printed version of a vulva. This is a vulva. And what most people don't understand about this beautiful piece of anatomy is that we have something called a clitoris. This is the female anatomy. That's internal. That is only for pleasure. It has no other, literally has no other purpose. It doesn't
None
have
at all.
Not a single, nothing besides pleasure. Men have a penis, and that has multiple purposes. But for females, our pleasure organ is its own organ on its own, which just shows us our power, ladies. But anyway, that's a different conversation. But the reason I brought this is because it's important that we understand that there's so much going on that's not surface level that we know, and we can do an anatomy lesson at a later stage. But that's the first thing, understanding your anatomy. When you can understand what your anatomy needs, what feels good, that's just one part of your anatomy, by the way. Good sex does not just involve your genitals. It's your whole body. It's a full body experience. It's knowing where on your body feels good, which erogenous zones feel good, what you need in order to feel turned on, the desire, all of that. So she needs to understand that about herself. And then she communicates that to her partner. She says, honey, it feels really good when you do this and when you do that. And can you stop doing that? That doesn't feel good. Or I only feel comfortable when you do this, right? And that's why the first time is not so amazing, because it's actually the most amazing, because it's a beautiful learning experience for the two of you. But it's not that like we just fall into each other's arms, know what we're doing. Sometimes there are those experiences, for sure. But for most people, it needs more. And there's a beauty in giving it that more, because that creates the awesome experience that's unforgettable, as opposed to, well, that was disappointing. I had all these thoughts in my head that I couldn't share, and the whole time I was just thinking about those thoughts instead of being in the moment and enjoying the moment.
And now what happens when your libido is mismatched with your spouse? First, for those, let's first explain what it is for those that do not know, because I believe there was a moment when I did not know what it was. But let's go on. What do you do when your libido does not match your spouse, and how do you create a match? Is it possible to create a matched libido with your spouse? So
most couples are mismatched. Yes. It's very rare to find a couple that has matched libidos. What that means is both of you are in the mood at the same time, in the both moment that you're both in the mood. Like, there's two different types of desire. There's spontaneous desire and there's responsive desire. So some people spontaneously desire sex and then they're able to be turned on and aroused and have sex. Others are responsive, which means they're not thinking about it. Something has to trigger them thinking about it. Then when they think about it, they can work on ways to turn themselves on, become more aroused, have a physiological response in their body. And only then are they open to actually allowing a sexual experience to take place. And then the sexual experience helps them get more in the mood, etc., and continues that space for them. So people don't realize that both people are normal and both are valid. Most people think they have to be spontaneous because that's what movies show us. And that's not the truth. It's literally not the truth. And that's why you'll get couples where it will be mismatched. But the way to match it is by just communicating. Babe, this is what I need to be turned on. Okay, sweet. So you need me to make you a cup of coffee in the morning and then come home from work, rub your feet, give you a few kisses, then, sit down with you for dinner, put some nice music on, give you a little dance, and then you're starting to feel something in your body and now you want to go to the bedroom and do something. Cool. But if you don't know that about yourself, then your partner's going to come home, he's going to take off his shoes, he's going to expect, whatever. And then you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, he's going to make a move and you're going to, okay, again, I'm generalizing who's making the move here. Could be the woman's making the move, but let's just use this example for what we're saying now. He's going to make a move and you're going to be like, what the hell? Where do you get off thinking you can just come in my house and, woo me a little bit. But you don't know how to explain that to them because he's just being rude or he doesn't appreciate me. But really what's actually happening is you just need to explain that to him. And most men are good. Most men are not what society tells us men are.
Yeah.
Society really wants to make men bad. Men are not bad.
Why?
Because it's like this old ancient view that like men can do whatever they want, women can't do anything, and women should never be believed in men. It's this ancient view that doesn't really exist anymore, but we still perpetuate it in our own homes. Like at what point are we going to say, I value you because you're a good person, and you value me because I'm a good person, so I'm going to listen to you with what you need, and you listen to me what I need. And there will be times when you have to turn on that spontaneity because that's what he needs. But he's turning on the other things because that's what you need. And it's a partnership. It's a dance. You're doing it together as opposed to you give me this and I give you that. And then feeling disappointed because the other person's not showing up. I went on a whole tangent.
No, I think it's really important to. I don't know. You have. Okay, we often most of the cases as women we often our idea of sex is based on movies. So we're like, oh my gosh, she's just gonna lift me off my feet. It's kind of, I'm not promoting, but like it's kind of like a Bridgerton scene in your head, and which can be quite extreme, but it's not necessarily the case. The reality is quite different. Oh wow!
I know, I've heard of it everywhere, but I've never watched an episode. And the little clips I've seen on the internet, it actually disgusts me. I don't get it. I'm like, what are people looking at? This is not love. This isn't how it is. All the heaving bosoms and...
From my view, I think it's so romantic because obviously I'm speaking from a place where I've never been there. So for me, it's like, wow, this is how it's going to be when I get there. So Bridgerton is sort of granting me a little bit of education. And I don't know if it's a healthy kind or hearing what she has to say versus maybe some of the Bridgerton scenes that I did not skip. Sorry.
That's absolutely
I can definitely understand that we are being told a lie. It's just we're just being sold lies, and then what we get into, if I get there, when I get there, it's gonna be something very different. So this is it's eye-opening for me.
Well, I mean, let's use Bridgerton for an example. Like, if you think about the scene that was in the last episode that most of us have watched, which is with Penelope and Colin. Okay. He doesn't give her actual education. He just says to her, let me show you.
Yeah.
And that's not good sex.
Okay.
That is him telling her what's going to feel good on her body. No.
Is it?
She needs to say, honey, this is what I understand. Okay. This is what feels good. You're doing this right, you're doing this wrong. In those movies, it depicts that he can just know what she needs. That's crazy. No one can know what you need in any situation. In your day-to-day driving in the road, the person next to you is not going to know what you need because no one can read your mind, and your spouse can't read your mind.
So, you're saying
and it's also like being told what you need. Like, it's almost like this they're trying to make it like you're feminist, but you're still weak.
Okay.
Like, he will come and be like, I got you. And it's like, but this isn't real life. You cannot be strong and weak at the same time. Everything is conversational. Everything has to be discussed and talked. You can't just...
Y'all make it seem as if y'all have conversations before sex. Do you have the time to
Not every
sit
time.
down and be like, okay, we're going to stop here and let's talk about what I like and what you don't like?
No, please don't do that.
Because someone who has not, for instance, I know there are people that have had sex and I know there are people that haven't. Someone who has never had sex does not know how they like it.
Yes, you're right.
And all they have is the image of Bridgerton.
And that's what I'm expecting.
Okay.
I'm expecting to be guided into intimacy, because you see how let's take Penelope's scene again, as you were saying, how he just, I feel like the story of Colin, he was such a promiscuous guy from my perspective, because he would be all over the place being promiscuous with other women. Then he has all this experience from different people. Then he would come and bring it to Penelope, and he already knows how other women have acted in a certain way when they are intimate. So he brings that in, and then he's telling her, like, no, this is how you're going to do it. In a sense, I live in a society where I see that happen a lot. Like, say for someone like myself, you've never been intimate with anyone, right? So you kind of tell yourself in your mind that, hey, it's difficult to find a guy that is like me, who has never had sex before and stuff. So you kind of, I don't know, they kind of tell us, console yourself, because at least he has experience. He will teach you how. So in my mind, I don't know if it's in the back of my mind or in the front. I don't know. I can't confess.
Let's run.
Yeah, but I genuinely expect my husband to lead us in the bedroom. I've never been taught to talk in the bedroom. I've never been taught to express myself. I've often been told, like, you're just going to get in there and it's just going to happen. That's basically, so Penelope's experience sort of speaks to me in a way.
Yes,
Yeah.
I hear it. And I think that that's such a valid point, that so many women will feel that way. So there's three things coming up for me. Okay, one, back to that, where, yes, you don't have the conversation in the moment. The conversation happens before. With your partner that you're going to have sex with, hopefully you're going to have dated for a while and you're going to feel comfortable and close to them. You're going to have had other conversations about your boundaries, what you consent to, if they've been tested. All of the conversations that are important, that are sexual conversations. Sex isn't just one conversation of like what I like and what I don't like, and then that's our conversation. Yeah. It's an ongoing conversation. This is something I speak about in my PDF that I created for parents, is how to have that ongoing conversation from when your child is 0 years old. Okay, obviously it's not the same conversation you're having with an 18-year-old. It's completely not even close. But with a 1-year-old, you're saying this is the correct anatomical name for your body parts, and you don't call your vulva a fanny or a momo or Jessica or a biscuit or a flower, because those are not, firstly, when it comes to assault, like God forbid, like if a child says, oh, someone smelled my flower or touched my flower, then you're like, okay, they touched the flower in the garden. They don't really know what the kid's talking about, right?
Yes.
So you have to teach the correct name. So again, it's an ongoing conversation. So when it comes to relationships, I was going on a tangent, but I call myself. It's an ongoing conversation of like, this is how I feel safe. This is what I need. Okay. And then when your man, when you and your man get married and you have your first sexual experience together, you also get to decide the script. Like, I'm okay with you going this far with me. I'm not okay with you doing that. This is how I want to feel loved. Okay, you can show me because maybe you have more experience, but with that in mind, you should have enough education that you understand his experience, that his experience isn't something that he's completely teaching you. You should feel empowered, because what happens, and I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but what happens if he doesn't really have the right experience? What happens if his experiences were actually quite average, or the lady that he was with faked it? So he thinks he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't.
Actually, we really talk about what I think it's like expected of men to just know
No,
how to
yeah.
And
do
exactly,
it.
it's unfair. It's
They
unfair
have to
pressure
know.
on him.
I expect him.
Even when they're virgins, they have to
I
know.
genuinely just expect him to
But
know how.
he like why? It's both of your you both choosing to responsibly have sex. You should both have the responsibility of knowing what to do. It's not one person's job, and it's both of our jobs to learn different techniques. It's both our jobs to show each other what feels good. It's both of our jobs to be in the bedroom together. When we put the whole responsibility on a man, besides for the dysfunction that it can cause in terms of like his pressure, men who feel under pressure will have issues that could come up. This is not for every man, but erectile dysfunction or performance anxiety or there's different things that I treat in my practice because there's this pressure to perform that one porn gives them or movies like Bridgerton give them that they're just going to know and show the woman what to do. But hello, how's he supposed to know where that spot is if you don't show him? But at the same time, there is that exploration. You can say to him, I give you consent to explore my body, and I'll then tell you afterwards. So, when we were doing this, I really loved it when you touched this part of my thigh, but I really, when I flinched, I didn't love it when you were doing that on my back. Okay, so we're not going to do that next time. That's the conversation. It happens afterwards, or maybe during your body language talks to them. But that's an ongoing conversation that afterwards you're how was that for you? And is there anything you want to do different next time? And it's so, again, it happens a few times in the beginning, and then you start to learn each other's bodies, you start to learn each other's responses, and you don't necessarily have to be having a conversation every time you're in bed together, but there will be a point where you have to check in. And that's, in all relationships, I believe every single relationship should have a sex check-in once whatever period of time you believe you need that. To say, like, has anything changed for you after birth? That's going to change the way you enjoyed sex before birth or while you were pregnant.
Yes,
The way you enjoy
Very
sex is going to be completely different. And then now he's
Very
expected
true.
to just know this. How? Like,
Just to add on
yeah,
everything that was said,
yeah. Sorry.
I believe that the moment of intercourse is a moment of pleasure for both parties.
Yes, yes.
So, if a woman, as Keji said, you expect the man to lead you, how will he know that you are pleased with what he's doing? Because most men, once they finish, I'm done. I'm sleeping, or I'm going to take a bath, or I'm going to take a walk. While you, that is the moment that you now just started.
True.
If you don't know how to communicate your pleasures, your feelings, you will forever just
Be
unsatisfied.
frustrated.
You will forever be angry with that man. He won't know what he did to you. But the moment that he walked in the house,
You're just upset.
you will get angry. You will be a very frustrated woman. You don't want to be that person. So from now, please, on the first week, yes, he can lead. But after that,
Yeah.
have your voice.
Okay.
Speak your mind.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
My sister.
Which like we were talking about connecting, and the reality is that as time goes by, we grow. I personally am not the same girl I was 5 years ago, right? As we grow, things change, our desires change, our focus changes. Now, as a couple that has been married for a couple of years, you have kids that come in the way, you have work that becomes stressful because you have an objective. At this age, I should be at this point, and the moment you start, you see that you're slacking one way or another. It kind of affects you mentally. How does a couple reignite that or maintain that level of intimacy and connection? Like maintain that that high school type of excitement when it comes to intimacy, because it's times if you become a bit observant. If you look at different couples, a couple that has been married for a few days is different from a couple that's been married for a year, 5 years, 10 years. And, I don't want to talk about my personal life, but, I personally admire couples that have been married for years, but they still behave like high school kids. That's one thing that actually made me excited about marriage. I'm like, oh my gosh, then that spark never leaves. But there's something they're clearly doing that a lot of couples are not doing right. And what exactly can they do, specifically focusing on the bedroom? What can be done to maintain it with all the stress, all the headaches that come in this life?
I love that question so much, and it's such an important question for most people. There's a few things that we have to hold space for. We have to hold space that, one, it's okay if it's not always like that.
Yeah.
Because no relationship stays roses and daisies.
Yes.
Also, we don't want the high school drama. It's way too. It's not fun. Like the worrying if he's going to text you back. Like you want to feel safe in your relationship.
Yeah.
So there's like pros and cons to wanting that passion that comes with the unknown and the lack of communication and the chase and the thrill. There's something that we want sometimes that's not always exactly what we need. So a relationship, yes, the thrill and the chase and the excitement you can recreate with certain tools. But I wouldn't say that's a focus. I think the focus on a relationship is a safety. The focus on a relationship is that I know that this person is going to treat me well in the bedroom, that I feel safe and wanted and desired by this person. And that comes from friendship. That comes from being friends with the person. If you have kids and you have a marriage that goes stale, it's usually because, sorry, the kids aren't part of that stability. It can be, but if you've only focused on the kids and forget about the relationship. But if the relationship goes stale, it's usually because you forgot about the relationship. In high school, the reason it's so exciting and always amazing, because all you think about is that relationship.
Yeah.
It's your only priority. So if you want it to be like that when you're older, you have to basically say, okay, I'm making it a priority. This relationship is a priority to me, and we're going to go on dates. We're going to have fun together. We're going to be like children. We're going to tickle each other. We're going to laugh together. We're going to watch funny movies. We're going to spend time together that's not just endless scrolling, talking about the news and talking about how frustrating our kids were that day, or like how annoying our boss was. Because that kind of stuff, the most profound thing I ever heard was that if you remove your job title, your parenting title, all of those titles, what's left?
Sure.
What's left? You're not just a mother, because that you're only a mother to a child. You're only a spouse to a partner. You're not those things. Those are things that you do with your capabilities, but who you are as a person is something that you only are, without any of those externalities. And if you can share that with your partner, and you can have that vulnerability together, and if you can have that fun together, and if you can create that safe space that is beautiful in that sense, then yes, when the hard times come, because they will, and there's no such relationship where there aren't, when those hard times come, it's that friendship, it's that goodness that gets you through, that safety that gets you through, because you know you can trust and rely on this person. So in the bedroom, of course, there's ways to do it, and there's so many different tools and tricks that you can add spice, but there's a foundation that has to be there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I believe that marriage shouldn't stop dating.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Keep on dating each other, even though you've been married for 10 years.
Yes.
Secondly, the children find you, and they will
They'll
leave you.
Yeah.
So create time
Yeah.
for the two of you.
Yeah.
If the children are a problem, if the house is too small, get away. We can get away. Go somewhere, spend time with your spouse. Buy that beautiful lingerie, put that beautiful perfume, cut your hair, plait your hair, do whatever. Look good for your wife, look good for your husband. Keep that flame, because I believe like when we were dating is that, oh, I'm going to see my boyfriend. Oh my God, let me do my hair, let me do my makeup, let me smell nice. And then most people once they get married, they just relax. Like, oh no, he's already mine. No. Keep that dating going.
Yeah.
I was watching this YouTube channel, a church, and then a mother asked a pastor a question, said, Pastor, it has been 8 years since I had sex with my husband.
Oh my goodness.
Because I'm afraid that...
I'm so sorry.
She said, I'm afraid that the children will walk on don't you know that this is what we're talking about, lack of sexual education.
Yeah.
You don't educate your children about sex once they are 18. You start from a young age. There are kids that never seen their parent kissing, but their
Yeah.
parents are having children.
10 of them.
Parents are having kids, but their kids never seen them being intimate.
Yeah.
They don't see the dad saying, the mom, I love you. Oh, baby, you look nice. Oh, man, I love what you're wearing. They've never seen that. The only way that your children will have a healthy relationship in the future is what they see. So don't be afraid that the children will walk on you. And also,
Wait, what?
Lock your door.
Like,
be cautious.
scared of the kids.
Check.
No, I
Are we
heard.
gonna
What
deny?
I heard was don't be afraid that your children will walk on you. I'm like, wait, what?
Lock your doors.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Lock your doors. Do what you have to do. And if the kid asks you, Mommy, what's your... Don't say, oh, no, we're just praying. Now that's the moment to sit your kid
We are
down
wrestling.
and say, listen here, we were intimate. Do you know what that means? Because some of us learn many things from school,
Yeah.
from friends, which
It's often exaggerated. Yeah,
Lord,
yeah.
have mercy. You see? But if maybe it's my dad or my mom or my sister that set me down and told me the truth, there are things that I was going to avoid in life. So let date one another, guys.
It's so important.
We have the money to go to Kruger National Park. We have the money to go to the Four Seasons. Go
You don't
out.
even have to
No,
go that
it's-
far. It can
Go
even be a
out.
McDonald's
Yes.
date. Like, if you don't have
Ice
that money,
cream.
just a McDonald's date.
Ice
As long
Go
as
for
you...
a
Yeah.
walk. Walking is free.
Yes, it's free,
Yeah,
yeah.
walking is free, they say here.
Picnic in the park,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. There's certain places that are safer to walk.
Look, you are a mother, right? And you have a young boy. I understand that the education between a boy and a girl is very different. Girls are often told this is when they receive like the periods, like so around 12, 11, they're like, stop playing with boys.
I was starting
Oh, you-
to touch you, then
And
you're
even the idea of
You're not the
playing
only
with
one.
boys at that age, you're thinking playing with boys. It's not necessarily don't be intimate. It's the weirdest thing. Now, as you have a son and you know how society is with regards to sexuality, you know how society is with regards to boys not being necessarily being educated, and based on the conversations that we've had. Now, if you were to give your son advice today, a little boy, he's a young boy, can we say his age?
He's 3.
He's 3 years old.
In August, on the 2nd.
If you were to give like a short intro to sex, what would it be? What would it be?
I will, number one, I will tell him you don't learn from TV.
Okay.
You don't learn from your friends. I will be the best person to educate you when it comes to sex. Because my intentions are good. I don't want you to go out there and learn from people. Learn from me. I will give you all the tools. I will equip you for your future. Number one, we don't have sex for fun. Sex is something that is very spiritual. And people forget that. It is very spiritual. It can break you or it can make you. Today, our society, we are facing a lot. And sex is at the center of what we are facing today. You'll find a young girl who's 15, but who's having sex with... He has 7 boyfriends, and she has sex with all the 7 boyfriends. So now, just imagine the chaos. Because what John gives you, Benjamin won't give. The way that Jean-Claude touches you, that is not how Benoit will do. So don't expect your partner to be like the previous one. That's why I will advise him, please,
Refrain from sex.
don't rush into it. Understand what sex is, and then take your own decision. Don't let the society put pressure on you. That, no, you cannot be 20 and you haven't done it. You better do it. Test the car first. No. You will test it and then you're going to die.
But Galia, let me transfer it to Galia. Now, Galia, we have people that have been intimate. They were with, who were the names that you chose? Jean-Claude, Bob, Harry, and then one day saw the light and decided, you know what, I'm gonna wait for the one, right? They become intimate with the one, but the one is not as good as Jean-Claude. How do they
I love how we
go
made him
about
French.
it?
It's a reflex.
So how do you go about this? Because there are people that honestly get divorced because the bedroom is not as they would have hoped for.
Okay, so firstly, just to preface, there's absolutely no judgment in someone who's had multiple experiences or wants to make their decisions the way they make their decisions. There's no judgment. Everyone's going to have their own experiences and their own way of making those decisions. And the most important thing is that they have information to make those decisions correctly, and that they have someone safe that they can talk to, and that they can share if an experience was scary or good or what it was, and to know what is happening if it's normal. That's the most important thing. And then to come back to, well, I guess there's another thing, which is then we're afraid of that, you know, are we going to compare? So a lot of the time that messaging is given to us, like, don't have sex with too many people because then you're going to compare. And then if it's not good with your partner, then it's going to be so disappointing. So I want to like challenge that a little bit in the sense that you will get a very good understanding from a person that you're dating if you have great chemistry and if you can have fun together, how your bedroom will look. If you can't have fun with that person, or they make you feel bad about yourself, or they put down your body, or they don't make you feel like the queen that you are or the king that you are, and you don't have fun with them and you don't have good chemistry, most likely your bedroom is not going to be great. It's not going to be.
Can I challenge that? I've heard girls who say, the bedroom is great, but he is toxic, or everywhere else it's not working, 100%. But the bedroom is great. Then how do you...
Okay, so we have to separate, there's a bunch of elements here. We need to separate skill from intimacy. Firstly, we spoke about intimacy as sex. Intimacy and sex are not the same thing. Intimacy is a beautiful space that you create with your partner. Sex is a physical experience. So the two are very different. Also, sex can look very different for one couple and very different for another couple. No two people have sex the same, and sex will be different for every single person. So that's just an important preface. Then we come to this person who is amazing in bed, but he's toxic out. Well, yes, he might have the skills, but you're not going to feel satisfied from skills alone. If someone is treating you badly or making you feel bad about yourself or disrespecting your body or any of that, no matter how skillful he is, you may have an orgasm, but that will be it. The satisfaction will end there in the bedroom. Real good intimacy flows through that sex into the relationship and is part of that relationship. And that's why there's like a time and place. And that's why if we want to experience that intimacy, we're not going to get that from a once-off experience because we can't create that vulnerable space with a once-off experience. So to go back then to if someone's having a difficult time in the relationship, well, was there chemistry and playfulness? Okay, then we can always translate that in the bedroom. You come to someone like me, you go to another therapist, you go to someone who's got the tools to give you. I guarantee you, skill can be taught. Size is not a big deal. Women think that size is everything. Listen,
It's not.
it's not everything. It's not
a big deal.
It's not everything. It's really not everything. One, it puts crazy unrealistic expectations on men. The average size is below what everyone thinks the right size is, which is crazy because that's the average size. So how can you make a decision based on what the average size is? Like, that's just the first thing. Second thing, like, sometimes when it's too big, it's actually not comfortable. Okay, and it's actually uncomfortable for the woman. So that's not necessarily a greater... I have men in my practice who say to me, I don't know what to do, I'm too big, no woman wants to sleep with me. It's not fun.
I've never heard of that before.
It's a real thing.
Genuinely, because I'm not speaking from my own experience. I mean, you hear it everywhere. how women
They're
always talk
lying
of,
to you. They're
No,
lying.
it's
it
not a
sounds like
lie.
Beyonce's
not-
song.
okay, so there's a few elements. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily a lie.
Yeah.
The size can matter for some, but if it matters to you and you don't have it in your relationship, there's always a solution. If he's smaller than what you need, there's toys that you can use. If he's not as skillful, you can teach him. If she's not as good, you can teach. You can teach her. There's always something that can be done. And if there are spaces where nothing can be done, then you decide if you want to continue in the relationship. But that's an extreme case. You know, in the end of the day, most things are treatable within the sexual area. I've yet to come across someone who is not able to be treated. Like, I really haven't. And again, maybe it's lucky, or maybe I've just had special clients. But most people's things are actually either normal, that they didn't realize are normal, or can be treated. And maybe they need medication, or maybe they need to change the medication they're on. Maybe the medication they're on is actually affecting their sex life, or making, problems with the physiological responses like wetness or erection, etc. But there's solutions. There's solutions to all of these things. And I think we have to hold space that it's not one size fits all, literally. If we go back to size, it's not one size fits all.
So now, because of time, there is an important question I wanted to ask you.
Go for it.
Unfortunately, it's a bit dark. But how does an individual that has been through traumatic sexual abuse, become intimate with their partner? It's if you would listen to stories. I remember a few days ago, I was going through my phone. This woman, sorry. She said she got raped at the age of 12. Now, when I look at a 12-year-old, I'm like, oh my goodness. How does a 12-year-old that has been through such traumatic experience trust a man to touch them again, even if it's someone that they love? Now, what advice could you give to a person that has been through such a horrible experience?
But just don't forget, it's not just women these days. Eh?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
men
yes,
are also
yes,
being
yes.
abused a lot in this new age of ours. So it goes both ways.
I think men have always been through, had these experiences. It just hasn't been talked about.
Talked about it. Yeah.
People don't talk about it.
Yeah, they don't.
So an individual that has been through a traumatic experience, how would you advise them to overcome it within their relationship?
Therapy. Firstly, I'm holding huge space for anyone who's a survivor of sexual assault. It is, there are no words for the disgust for the person that did that to you. And it's not your fault. You should know it was never your fault. If you experience things that you didn't expect to experience, it's not your fault. That was 100% their fault. And you deserve to be loved correctly.
Yes.
You deserve to feel seen, validated, heard, safe. And you can have that, but you need to go to a professional, because on your own, those demons are too big to bear alone. And those demons are just... Yeah. There's no words. They can be debilitating. So if you have ever experienced anything that was not consensual, or you didn't enjoy it, even within your marriage, this can happen within marriage too. You need to talk to someone straight away. And if that person dismisses you or doesn't take what you say seriously, go to someone else, because no one should not believe you if you're telling them the truth. And this is a huge problem with our system, that we don't believe women all the time, and that our testimony alone isn't enough. And I've seen this with my clients. I've seen this in my own personal life, and it is not okay. We need to start believing women. We need to start believing men. Men probably came forward and they weren't believed because they were like, oh, but you're a player. You should have enjoyed it, man. So what if she was 30 years older than you? What you got the MILF or whatever it is. The society, we can do better. Yeah. We can be good. We can see people as humans, and start treating them as such.
Is it a service do you provide?
I do
counseling, or
help.
do you-
I do help survivors. I have a course that we do, but it often needs to be coupled with some other form of therapy, depending on what they've gone through. Sometimes it's a physiological need. They need to go for pelvic floor therapy because the muscles are not going to. They're going to be shut out from the trauma. There's a lot. And I think we would have to do an entire podcast on its own for it. But yeah, there's options and there is ways to heal, and it's a hard journey, and I'm really sorry that you have to go through that.
You know, it's relieving to know that there's something that can be done. It is an unfortunate and a heartbreaking experience that one can go through, but yeah, we're really grateful for people like you, and I think we also the conversations we need to allow ourselves to have these conversations. Unfortunately, in the African community, they will tell you, be strong, don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Pray.
Like, you know, those-
It's gonna
Prayer
affect
changes
your
everything.
chances for who you're gonna marry, or
Yeah.
people are gonna
Totally.
judge you.
It's-
I know a boy that I spoke to when he was 13. Something happened to him, and he was told not to tell anyone because he's not gonna be able to get married. And I was like, what? If anything, he's the guy I would want to marry, because look how far he's come. Look what he's achieved, even though he's had the worst dealt with him. Like, that shows me strength, that shows me bravery, that shows me courage. And that also tells me that, like, this person was willing to not give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's an amazing human being. And also, I'm holding space if you want to give up, and you can get help, please. But yeah, like, the taboo that comes around anyone who's a victim, that's on the person who's judging, not on you.
Yeah.
It's on,
yeah.
it's on
And
the other
sadly
person.
enough, it's that taboo that really stops the healing process from happening.
100%. But
Yeah.
it's on them. It's their problem. Don't internalize other people's shame. Like, we have to stop internalizing other people's shame. And it's never your fault. Ever. No matter what you're wearing, no matter what your mama said, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
She told you not to go out to him, it doesn't matter. He made or she made that decision to do what they did to you. It was them being wrong. I'm sorry it affected you, and yeah, don't internalize other people's stuff.
You know, these no, it's a sensitive topic, but I think it's important for us to address it. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next question. That is not as dark. Now, how do individual? Okay, so this move on to the next question. I do apologize for that. How important it is for partners to have similar sexual values and beliefs?
Also important, but also not a deal breaker.
Okay.
It's only not a deal breaker if you're very good communicators. It's a deal breaker if you're not good communicators. If you can't navigate difficult moments together that are outside of the bedroom, it's going to be hard to navigate those difficult moments in the bedroom. So if you have a belief, I think it's also very important to understand belief and understand where your beliefs come from. So it's important to always question that. There's, even within religion, I know people are scared to say this, I question the beliefs. It's not because you don't believe it or you want to not believe it, but understand it. Understand where that belief comes from, because when you understand a belief, it's much easier to follow it, as opposed to, my religion says this, I don't understand it, and therefore I don't trust God because I don't understand it. And then you don't just throw away that part of the religion, you throw away all parts of the religion. And you define the religion based on one element, which is, we have to do better in religion. We have to do better that someone can have an experience that may not necessarily look the way our religion would uphold it to be, but still accept them within our community and hold space for them. Again, as long as it's not goes against immoral or legal laws, and then they need to deal with that on a legal space. But to give space to people to just freely can feel comfortable, as well as to have a space that they can then come and learn more and grow and connect to that belief on the way that they feel connected to it. Because we're all going to experience religion differently. We all been taught I have not been taught the same thing you were taught as a kid, but when we've spoken, we've seen so many similarities within our religions, right? We've seen so many similarities, but also so many differences. And the truth is, there's going to be differences and similarities in everything. But the way I understood a message that was the same message you were given may have been different, but there's universal messages that we've all understood the same. That if a woman has multiple partners, she's a slut, and if a man does, he's he's awesome. And those messages were internalized for a long time. Now we're changing that as a society, but the messages that we all understood the same. So when your beliefs are the same, that everyone undoubtedly hears it and believes it the same way, cool. But when you have differences in opinions, that's going to affect how you and your spouse then go about things. And there will be differences because religion comes with a lot of trigger points. And as an individual, we're going to have to find which trigger points are worth finding a medium, which trigger points are not worth even going to because it's not good for our relationship, and we can accept that we have difference of opinions, and which we both could do a work on, and that's where that middle ground comes. So if you're good at communicating, you can find that belief, or you can find that middle ground. A lot of the time this comes up with parents when, let's say, one parent believes that their child should be able to be sexually active as a teen and the other parent doesn't. That's a big belief. That's going to be a hard one to navigate. But again, it's the child's choice. The parents have to do the parental thing, which is teach them what they need to know. And then if their communication's good, then they'll be able to accept one another for doing their best that they can do instead of trying to control that belief that they're both struggling with. So I think it's a very deep need and understanding you have to have within your relationship. It definitely can be navigated if there's a difference. If you're polar opposites, if it's important for you to change it, I would question those beliefs, understand where they come from. Are they actually bringing value to your life, those beliefs? Like some of the beliefs that we have, for an example, all of us women have a belief that we're beautiful if our body's a certain size. But that's changed over the years. What Kim Kardashian's body looks like now and what Marilyn Monroe's body looks like then is two different bodies, but yet society chose a woman and decided to base how the society's look should be, which is ridiculous because we have diverse groups of people in this world. How can we all look the same? It's crazy. Yet we'll hold ourselves to that standard for some crazy reason. Why? So that's a belief I would say we should question. So there are beliefs that you're allowed to question. And there's beliefs that you should be able to question with your partner and have communication about it. But then there's also beliefs that may hold true to you that your partner may not see eye to eye on. And that's where if you can't find a middle ground, then obviously a therapeutic space will help you. But if the main thing is to find that middle ground, that would be my advice. Yeah.
You mentioned different types of different body types, right? How does one overcome sexual insecurities or body image issues?
So let's ask the ladies here. Is there one tip that you could say has helped you with your body image that you could share with other women? I mean, I'm happy to talk the whole time, but I want to hear.
I've never cared. Funny enough, I had one of those mothers who always told us that you're fine the way you are. And and I grew up amongst a lot of boys. so we would climb trees, and when I finally realized, I've got boobs. Oh, okay, great. Still climbing my trees. So it took me a very while to really get feminine. And then when everyone was telling me, you're so beautiful, it never really caught up because I didn't care. So everyone always told me, you always you don't care. And I'm like, yeah, because I really don't. So body has never really caught up to me because I've never really cared. I've never.
Because you valued yourself without.
Yeah, true.
You didn't need the body to give you value.
Yes, that's
Beautiful.
very true. I didn't.
I love that. That's really beautiful. That's beautiful, mother. That's good parenting.
Yeah.
Teach your children that they're beautiful,
For me, it's different. I never cared in the beginning. I was also climbing trees when I was a kid. Then I hit puberty, and then my body changed. And then I became very insecure about certain parts of my body. I stopped doing sports, so I gained some weight. So I became very insecure. It's only when I came to varsity that I was surrounded by people that would every day make it a point to tell me, you are beautiful. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're beautiful. It's like they could see the low self-esteem radiating from me. And with that, that's how they started healing me from within. I'm still grateful every day for them. I remember them there from my church. So they always tell me, like, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. Even to this day, there are people that still tell me, you're beautiful. And I no longer take it like, oh, maybe they're lying to me, you know. Now I take it with a head that is high and I say, yeah, you know, you're right, eh? You're right. So I think the most important thing, sometimes when you can't do it for yourself, surround yourself with people that can help you get out of that pit that you put yourself in.
Yes.
And they will help you to become the person that you're called to be. So I think, yeah, that's for me an advice. Yeah.
I
The
love
right
that.
people. Yeah.
I love that.
For me, body image it has never been a problem. I grew up in a family whereby I could walk naked in front of my sisters. I could undress. So it was never that.
Yeah.
And then when I felt pregnant, I started gaining weight. And then I remember one day I stood in the mirror, I looked at myself. I'm like, I was 55 kgs. Then I went to 60. Now I'm on 86.
You are so honest, man.
I love it.
I'm 86.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, I'll go back to my weight once I give birth. And then I gave birth. The process itself was traumatic, but we thank God we're here. And I looked at myself. I'm like, this is who I am. I'm accepting this body because it carried a human being for 9 months. And I don't expect this body to change in a year or even in a 2 or even in 3.
Yes.
It will change. It will take time. I'm accepting this person. And I remember my husband said to me, he's like, babe, if you have any problem, do you need those mommy makeover? I'm like, I am fine. I've never had a body image issue. And now I'm not going to make it an issue because I have a child. That when I look at myself, I'm like, this is a trophy here. So
Beautiful.
I don't have the problem.
I love that. In a quick sentence, I'll say we learn to love ourselves not through other people telling us that you have to love yourself first in order for someone to love you. It's through other people telling us we're valuable. It's through our parents telling us we're valuable. It's through our friends telling us we're valuable. It's through us knowing that we are valuable, but it often takes a village.
Yeah.
And we need to
So
hold
true,
space
very
that it's
true.
okay that if we need someone to help us feel beautiful in our space, if we struggle even when people are doing that, then take the time to get to know yourself better. And you know, therapy, or there's different exercises that you know we can do, not physical exercises, mental.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Agreed.
So we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, guys, beautiful ladies. Thank you. I'm truly grateful for you taking the time to answer questions. Galia, thank you as well. Guys, if you really liked what you heard today and you'd like to see more of Beyond the Veil, you're more than welcome to comment, share it with your loved ones, and let us know so that next time we can come with more insightful, more interesting conversations that matter to you most. Once again, I am Shekinah Mwepu, and this is Beyond the Veil. Take care. Till next time.